NASCAR heads to Dover, and so do the IBT boys. We get you set from a DFS and betting perspective next on the Backroad.
It's a non-points race, but it is a short race. Checkered flag. That's all this race is.
Two from the States.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Backroad. It's In Between Media's fantasy NASCAR betting show. Elliot Hicks with Seth Woolcock, both in the same place. We don't have the little screens to keep us apart. We're here in the same studio because we're heading to the track for Dover. We're real excited about that. Sorry if we're missing some of our usual suspects here. A little earlier tonight, we wanted to get ahead of all the NFL draft coverage that I know everyone's so excited about, both in and out of the IBT family. But tonight on the Backroad, before we get to the selections there, we're going to react to Talladega. We're going to break down Dover, give you our best bets and our DFS rankings for the Monster Mile.
Elliot, good to be here with you, man. I'm excited to head out to Dover this weekend. Not only is it a great track, a great area of the nation, the great state of Delaware. Yeah, but this is also perhaps my favorite track to bet on from an Xfinity and a Cup standpoint. So I'm excited to get into it with you tonight, man.
Interesting. Yeah, so keep an eye on the channel all weekend. You know, normally we put out a couple of our betting articles. You don't really hear from us all weekend. We're going to be at the track. You can expect a bunch of stuff coming at you each of the next 3 days. And there's some ways you can get involved and win a little swag too, right, Seth?
Yes, yeah, we have a couple giveaways going on right now. And if you guys want to enter, I want to see all the regular IBT family enter these giveaways because we have a bunch of different die casts. We have Ty Majeski, we have a Bailey Curry, and we have a Tyler Reddick autographed 1/24th scale die cast that we're going to give away. So if you guys want to get involved with that, whether you're in the live chat here right now, just type subbed, like make sure you're subscribed to the channel and type subbed in the comments in the live chat. And then if you're watching this pre-recorded, make sure you type it in the comments and we'll get you added there. We're going to try to find some pretty cool people, potentially some fans, potentially some other media boys or gals who can help us give away some stuff here over the weekend. Looks like we got Katie in the chat tonight. What's up, Katie? Good to see you. Thanks for making time for us. Charles saying, what's up, guys? Good to see you. Enjoy the Monster Mile. Thank you so much, Charles. We're very excited for it. You know, Dover, Elliot, it's not a short track. It's an intermediate, but it's like a 1 mile short track. So I think, or 1 mile intermediate. So I think it's going to be fun to see what we can do a little bit different here this week as compared to some of the true intermediates we've had in recent weeks.
Yeah, I mean, Dover really is its own monster, you know, and we're looking forward to breaking down that. But let's take a look in the rear view and look back at Talladega.
Yeah, let's freaking do it.
So don't get me wrong, Seth. We still had plenty of the Talladega chaos, of course, but maybe some uneventful endings to the races there. We had Jesse Love get his first career win in Xfinity. I know our guy Bob's happy. And Tyler Reddick wins a relatively lackluster finish in the Cup Series race.
Yeah, man. Cup racing at super speedways right now, guys, it's just not what I think we want it to be. It's a game of fuel mileage chicken, and like shout out to the Toyotas for actually being innovative and like, hey, we're gonna short pit everyone. We're gonna get out in front here, and you know, didn't pay off for guys like Denny Hamlin and Bubba Wallace who ended up in the wall there, but. Yeah, Cup racing right now, like I don't think we need to go into it too much. You know, we're 3 or 4 days removed from it. I've kind of lost some of the fire I had, but not as fun in years past, especially at Talladega right now.
Right, and it's not only the fuel mileage stuff. You know, first of all, props to the Toyotas for giving that a try, and they still ended up winning the race.
Yeah.
So even though it was almost like a task failed successfully for the Toyotas, they were able to get Michael Jordan to victory lane for the first time in person. But it's not only the fuel saving stuff; it was the fact that with about 20 to go. You know, everyone's going hard, all in. But that also means everyone's going all in. There was really no room for anybody to pass, unless you were, McDowell, Keselowski, and Reddick up there at the front. They were really the main three that were going to have a chance to win. The guys that were second, third, fourth row back that normally you'd be able to see make a run. It's just not possible in these next-gen cars. And we did see the third line kind of break out.
Yep.
Ty Gibbs kind of knocked that down. Kyle Busch putting out a tweet says, I hate these bleeping cars. You go out of line, you're going to end up 30th because it's just not going to work. It really is not conducive to good racing. And hopefully Eric Jones, hopefully he heals up soon. The playoff chase is not over for him. He got the medical waiver. And this year, the second Darlington, one of his better tracks, it's not a playoff race. That's the final race of the regular season, which I think people will forget because, of course, Darlington's in a couple of weeks. If you take the similar timeline from like Alex Bowman's back injury or something like that, probably going to miss multiple weeks, but he's got the medical waiver. Playoff chase not over. But we do hope for a speedy recovery for Eric Jones there after that incident.
Yeah, man, you heard the in-car audio after the fact, and kind of
immediately in pain.
Yeah, pretty scary. And then he walks out of the infield care center like it never happened, maybe 10 or 15 minutes later. So kind of a weird situation there. As you kind of mentioned in these cup cars, man, just too much damn drag. Like we need to see less drag. We're not going to see more horsepower. So need to see some less drag because I was watching Ryan Blaney, who was the guy who initially started that third line there at the end. Said, here comes Blaney. Let's do it. Ty Gibbs gets in front, kind of sends him back, but really it's just like a parachute when you get out there in that third line. So not the case really in Xfinity though, Elliot. Really some good racing early on in that race. A lot of crashes, a lot of wrecks that took out some tickets that we had. I was clinging to that Parker Kligerman, clinging to that Austin Hill outright there, and those fell short. But your impressions on the Xfinity race last weekend?
Yeah, definitely better racing. And, it was real exciting those last couple of restarts where you had Jesse Love, of course, in a good RCR car, but he had never won. And then you have a whole bunch of the mid-pack kind of field, not necessarily field filler guys, but guys who don't run as well. There was a point where they're coming to the restart. It was Love and then 3 or 4 of the Alpha Prime Racing guys. I'm like, wow, one of these guys are going to win the race. Brendan Poole nearly got some justice for 2016 or 17 when he nearly won one that was taken away from Sadler. Anthony Alfredo, maybe not the best move to stop pushing there. But hey, regardless, it's a good weekend. You still got a good first-time winner in Jesse Love doing what Sheldon Creed could not do in that 2-car.
Yeah. And like shout out to the books. They got me. They put out the Xfinity top 10s late in the week. I was already very invested in the Xfinity race and the race as a whole, probably more than I should have been, honestly, heading to a super speedway, but it's just so damn fun to sweat it out regardless of the outcome. And like we always say going into those races, expect whatever you play in fantasy, expect whatever you potentially play in betting to lose that. And definitely became a loser last weekend. But yeah, it was really cool in that Xfinity race to see. We had a Deegan top 10 bet that was like, oh my God, is Haley Deegan going to do this now? She's what'd you say? Can't drive herself out of a paper bag right now.
Yeah, I mean, she wasn't helped by the fact Riley Herbst didn't go.
Yeah,
so
come on, Riley.
So I got to give Haley a little bit of credit. But it's these cars and these drivers, they're not used to running up front. So they're not going to quite have the same ability to make the moves there some of these other drivers would.
Yeah. Looks like we got Lost Profit in the chat. What's up, man? So good to see you. Let us know, Lost Profit, if you're subscribed to the channel, because we want to enter you in some of our diecast giveaways this weekend as well. Rachel, what's up, Rachel? Rachel's a Minnesota Vikings fan. She's one of our staff members, so she's sweating it out right now, Elliot. She's hoping Drake May lands out there. So don't tell us what happened. No spoilers here, Rachel, but thanks so much for joining us. Any final notes from Talladega? Because, yeah, like saw some big tickets cash. If you were on Jesse Love, if you were on Tyler Reddick, who I don't think anyone was. But any final thoughts before we headed over?
So, of course, obviously our cards didn't do the best, but, a lot of bettors do skip the plate tracks, the super speedway tracks.
Yeah.
Even though they're tough to make money on, it was worth the sweat.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to throw shade here, but it's still worth throwing a little bit out for the super speedways, make them a little more exciting.
I also say that I would be remiss if I did not say shout out fucking Todd Gilliland. Todd Gilliland at Dega. Auto bet every single year. That's twice in a row. We've done it. He gets it done. Top 10 babies. I wasn't on the right front row car. Well, maybe I was because I did get the top 10 ticket to cash. But Michael McDowell's a fucking stud too. I was so high on him in Atlanta that I was like, man, why did I not bet like just front row, man? At super speedways, we got to keep in mind, bro. Front row is like A-class tier now at super speedways.
Yeah, they really are. And, obviously the results on paper from McDowell don't look good because he threw 2 of the worst blocks I've ever seen. But if he just makes one of those blocks, Brad passes him, you get a second place out of McDowell, a third at worst. It
was so funny too, because I had a conversation with a friend in the industry, Michael Palmer, earlier in the week, and he was just probably went on for 5 minutes about how Brad was going to win. And I was like, God damn, was that guy going to be right? And Michael, you were not right, but very, very close anyways. Looks like we got some more comments here rolling in. Charles, are super speedways dead for Cup?
They're not dead. It's just there's more work to this next gen than I think a lot of people thought. Drivers say there's not a whole lot of driver skill involved. They've got some kinks to work out. It's unfortunate that it's taking a couple of years to really work those out, but they're still working. There's multiple tire compounds that are going to be at the All-Star race now. They're messing with stuff, and it will get better. There are just maybe a couple more super speedway races that are a little bit of a slog like that.
Yeah, and like honestly, man, if you're trying to be profitable, I feel like you just have to take some long shots at this point at the super speedways and like load bullets in the chamber. I saw one of our buddy Brian Twining. I know he had a lot of bullets in his chamber, and he had Tyler Reddick. Like I saw a couple other people had Tyler Reddick, and probably should have thought about him after winning the duel, but I didn't. I don't know why. Just because he's an ass fucking super speedway driver usually.
Yeah, normally there's so much attention on Bubba when you're talking about the 2311 cars. But and also one more thought on Dega. How cool was that to see Jordan holding Reddick's kid? Like, hey, bud, let's go celebrate. Like that was the moment of the weekend for me.
Absolutely. Yeah. He will remember that moment for the rest of his life. Let's go ahead, Elliot, though. Let's look forward towards the weekend in Dover with Horizon Forecast.
Let's roll.
Hey, Michael, it was only 20% chance of rain. I think we got all 20.
So we are headed to the Monster Mile in Dover, Delaware this weekend. Like we were talking about earlier, almost its own animal. I like your description you have here of it as a skill intermediate track.
Yeah, that was iFantasy races. So I'm giving them credit, but I thought, that's exactly what this is, man. We're going to have that intermediate 670 horsepower package once again as well. But tracks like there's nothing like Dover, man. There's really nothing like Dover. It's about a mile and a little bit of a change. And just the high speeds that are going into those turns. Like I watched back the last two Xfinity races this week and also the last two Cup races. Like, damn, there's nothing like fucking Dover. We have seen tracks run this package though this year, Elliot. Las Vegas, Phoenix, Texas. So we can take a little bit from those tracks. And there are some like secondary comps that we can kind of factor in. Bristol, which I think is a good one, although the Bristol race this year a little bit crazy with the tire wear. Darlington, and then Nashville, although Nashville is more just like a concrete intermediate, so that's kind of really what it is. It's more the surface. So I factor those comps in a little bit, but really here Dover's one of those tracks. If you're good at Dover, you're good at fucking Dover.
Yeah, I do like Phoenix a lot as a comp track. I mean, obviously the asphalt, it's asphalt rather than concrete, but sort of a similar oddity that's kind of lays by itself. And Nashville, even though it is more a mile and a half, it's almost a bit of a hybrid there. And I do like that it's a concrete intermediate. Another one to look at there. And some of the drivers good at Dover, also good at Nashville. We'll talk about that a little later.
Yeah. Let's talk about the schedule because it is a busy schedule for us. 3 p.m. Friday, Xfinity practice and qualifying. 5 p.m. ARCA race. That's available to bet if you guys have some offshores. Bovada has some stuff right now. Currently working to get an account with them. So we'll talk a little bit ARCA later in the race. We're gonna get a little DGen this weekend. So if you guys want a Friday night sweat, no trucks this weekend, of course. Saturday then, 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. Wake up with some practice and qualifying for the Cup Series. Then we're gonna be heading to the Xfinity race at 1:30 p.m. Eastern time, Elliot. And man, that's gonna be a fun one as well.
No doubt about it. And then Sunday, we've got the Cup race at 2 o'clock. Xfinity race sponsored by BetRivers. So that's going to be a fun one, too. BetRivers 200.
Yeah, man. Like, I feel like sponsoring an Xfinity race, I don't know how much it costs, but I think like more people should probably do it because you see a lot of like local businesses sometimes even sponsor it. Yeah. And like the fact that BetRivers is like fucking going to get their bag, like do it, man. That's good advertising. And let me tell you, man, BetRivers, at least for Cup this week, like some of the best offerings are on BetRivers each and every week. So I'm glad they're getting more involved with the sport. Like this tells me they're going to get more involved. However, we need some more fucking Xfinity stuff at BetRivers right now. They got top threes and outrights. That's it. Come on. Come on. Like you're sponsoring the fucking race. That's all I ask, Elliot.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe they'll throw out more this weekend. I don't know if they'll do any track activation, but of course BetRivers legal in Delaware. So we'll probably be adding on some bets there. You know, staying in Delaware, you know, we got the different books in Pennsylvania. We have more options. Seems like BetRivers is the main option down there, but we'll keep an eye out for that. And hey, if we like some race sponsorship, I know that there's no ARCA at Pocono this year, but be on the lookout for the in-between media 150 at Pocono in the next couple years.
Let's go. Still no Bet365 in Delaware. I was hopefully hoping to get invested over there. Not going to be the case this week. However, let's talk some Dover trends, guys. So keep in mind, this is a track, like, while it's been one we've ran for a while in both series, we've only run it once per year since 2021. So adds a little bit of a uniqueness factor to it. Some qualifying trends to keep in mind. Kyle Larson, 8th all-time in starting position here. Chase is 9th all-time. I think, like, right now, if you're going to be taking qualifying shots, you're looking at the Hendricks boys. You can take a couple shots on the Joe Gibbs, but like, we saw Chris Buescher pull this son of a bitch like a couple years ago, but I'm not expecting any, like, probably anyone out of those top 8 cars from those main manufacturers and teams.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically where we're looking across the board this week. And it's become harder to handicap because it's such a unique track, and we've only been here once a year. Normally, if you have a race in the spring, kind of difficult to handicap. You at least can look back at that in the fall or late summer or whatever to have some sort of idea, but only the once a year and far fewer comp tracks. A little more difficult.
Yeah. Speaking of qualifying, Denny and Truex are the only active drivers right now with multiple pole wins. So if you want to take your shot on them, I think Denny right now is like plus 550. I think Truex is like closer to 9-1. Larson's all the way down at plus 275. I took a little sprinkle and Lars had to, you know. Some race trends: Truex, Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott, only drivers with multiple wins here. That matters to me. I know Kyle Busch has been dog shit, but, like, I'm kind of afraid to fade him a little bit too much this week. And, like, Chase Elliott, he's going to be a factor. Truex, of course, going to be a factor as well. But however, whoever wins that pool, we're going to, if we cash a ticket on Saturday and you're happy about it, like, I don't know if I'd go all in on them for the race. Last poll winner to win here, Elliott, Jim Jam Johnson, 2010, baby.
Yeah, been quite a while, and we know Jimmy's been really good at Dover, and he's entered this weekend.
Yeah.
Don't expect the same sort of deal from Jimmy Johnson.
Yes. Winners from the front row, 31% of the time. A lot of that's actually more coming from the second place car. So something to keep in mind. Whoever's maybe on the front row but not on the pole could be interesting. Top 5, 56%. Top 10, 75%. That's about in line with most standard intermediate tracks.
Yeah.
Hendricks, Joe Gibbs Racing, SHR, only teams that have won at this track since 2013. So, like, maybe Trackhouse, maybe RFK, like, those are kind of the only other, like, teams I think you could factor in here, but it's definitely one. It's like a blue blood. It's a like I do have blue blood racetracks where it's just like, this is where Hendrick and Joe Gibbs Racing show up, you know?
Yeah, I mean, if you do, it's Dover, and you can probably take that number even further back. The only SHR driver to win since 2013 was Kevin Harvick. And then the winner before that was Tony Stewart in an SHR car. So we could go even further back to see the last time there was
smoke,
sort
baby.
of a surprise winner here. It just doesn't really happen at Dover.
Charles in the chat saying Bowman this week. Listen, man, his stats are fucking good. His stats are good here, Charles. You're definitely onto something, man. And like we said, the blue bloods this weekend, and Bowman's one of them still. We can't forget that.
Yeah, you got to be neutral when you have a media pass. You know, Seth, you put out a really good tweet about this earlier this week that when you're getting media credentialed to any sort of event, you got to play it professionally. But my God, is it going to be difficult if Bowman ends up in victory lane? I'll hold it together. I will not besmirch the IBT brand, but I'll be a little happier on Sunday if that works.
Yeah, absolutely. You'll go from 6 to midnight real quick, man. If Bowman's in victory lane, my friend. Let's get to the Asterisk Mark Driver of the Week presented by iFantasy Race. If you guys haven't checked out iFantasy Race, what the fuck you doing? Like, this is where we're getting a ton of our information each and every single week, from their custom total speed rankings to just the schedule of events. Like, Ryan's putting in the Lord's work, man, and go support him. A lot of it's free. And also you can subscribe and get more exclusive content, which greatly helps him out and his team. So you really can't suggest them more. iFantasyRace.com. Asterisk Mark Driver of the Week. Kyle Larson had a fucking rocket last year at Dover. Clearly looked like a top 5 car, Elliott. However, race wasn't incident free. Finished 32nd in that race. Started 18th. Worked his way up to 5th. And then on lap 80, Ross Chastain spun the number 15 car, if you remember, kind of came back down, hit Kyle Larson. That was 2 races in a row at Dover for Larson that he is wrecked out of. So to see him open up under 5-1 was quite surprising, especially hearing this again here from Ryan.
Yeah, but I mean, it's an asterisk mark for a reason that the guy has had good finishes, good runs here. And, this is a week where, I don't like drinking the juice, but especially with a guy like Larson, you got to drink that juice.
You're going to drink it. Oh, well,
you got to this week, as we'll talk about here in a minute.
All right. Yeah, we'll talk about it for sure. I think that's pretty much good for previewing and setting up. What do you say? Let's get into the betting this week first. Because I mean, we got some good cards right now that I can't wait to get to.
Yeah, we're going to continue on with the change Seth made last week and start off with the parking garage props before we get into the tire tiers. So let's roll with that.
Also, as some of our regulars are kind of filtering in right now, I did want to remind everyone we are doing some giveaways with our diecast autographed this weekend at Dover. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. That's kind of what we want to meet before we do the giveaway. We'll probably do it anyways, no matter what happens. But we want to try to get as close.
You didn't hear that. Get us to 1,000 subscribers, and then we'll do the giveaway. Right?
Yeah. But to enter, all you guys got to do, subscribe, and then just type in the comments of the live chat. Or if you're watching the rewind version, put it in the comments that you are subscribed. YouTube doesn't just give you a list of your subscribers. I wish they did. Yeah, you can't export. I've tried. So we need to know that you're subscribed. Just put it in the chat. We got quite a few people from last night's show, but you have good odds right now. You got damn good odds to win something right now. We have 3 giveaways we're doing. I think we have about 10 people entered. So chances are in your favor, Elliot.
Yeah, pretty good odds. And if you're going to be at track this weekend, we'll have a few more things to give away there if you find us or we find you and say, hey, big fan of the show. If you show us you're subscribed, we might have some little treats there too.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk impressions of the books. Elliot, I try to be fair and but Dover is one of those tracks where I think it was iFantasy Race who put out the tweet earlier this week was if I'm building a season-long lineup, I'm kind of comping it around Dover because those who are good at Dover are usually good throughout the entire season generally.
Yeah, I may or may not have drawn from that tweet as inspiration from a Between Bets article that we'll put out on the site tomorrow that you can look for. And I mean, I'm kind of going to give it away with some of my odds here as we'll see, but Dover's one of those tracks where it's almost not necessarily a polar opposite of Talladega because there's still some value to be found, but it's just one of those where you're going to get some real juicy odds and your best bet is to drink it because even though it is tough, that's what's going to win you money this week. It's not going to be, I shouted out an SVG top 10, that's not even going to happen in Xfinity this week, let alone Cup where he's not even entered.
Yeah. Yeah. And I will say just my plan of attack this week compared to a little bit usual, I'm kind of dialing back the card and upping the units, if that makes sense. Like last week at Dega, it was a shotgun approach. I had probably 20 bets out there. This week, I'm riding closer to 8 or 9, and I'm just kind of heavy uning in on the ones that I like. So let's talk about the ones we like here, Elliot. Let's go to the outright market. Where are you going? Are you drinking the top of the board juice, Elliot?
I am not even comfortable speculating on any outright that is not one of the 4 Hendrick cars or one of the 4 Gibbs cars. The stats have shown it. The stats this season have shown it. The Dover stats over the last 12 years have shown it. It's going to be one of these 8 drivers. I'm not, I'm the guy, I'm the long shot guy. Yeah. Every week I'm like, well, maybe Kozen Hocevar will win the race. No, it's going to be one of those 8 cars. 100% unless JGR crashes themselves like they did last week and all the Hendrick cars get DNQ'd. That's the only way that it's going to happen. The odds, of course, Larson's the favorite at plus 450. I've seen Byron at 800, Chase at 1,200, Bowman 1,800. In terms of JGR, the 19's at plus 700, the 11 plus 800, the 20 plus 1,300, and same with the 54 at Ty Gibbs. Truex and Chase are my favorites there.
Wow.
Truex, you got to get a little juicy. Chase, he's been on a hot streak. And like I said in my little Talladega clip, if you watched it last week, I'm not all in on Chase now, but I'm very comfortable betting Chase as an outright now that he finally got the W.
Yeah, so I've placed 2 outrights so far this week, folks. They are Martin Truex Jr. and Chase Elliott.
We did not
planned.
Even though we
so let's talk MTJ here. It's hard to say a lot about this guy. Geared up, he's ready to go here. I feel like coming to probably arguably his best track, 4 wins, for sure, including last year, hometown track. let's not forget the Truex boys swept this race a year ago. Ryan winning in the Xfinity series. And I think like the impressive thing about that win last year, Elliot, he started 19th because there's no qualifying. Qualifying rained out, and I think we will get Saturday qualifying, so I think we're in the clear there. But he should get a much better starting position, had to work his way up a lot, made into the top 10 by the end of stage 1. Number 2 in the Dover Next Gen total speed rankings. And when looking at some of these loose comps, Nashville, 2nd last year, 2nd at Bristol, if you remember that crazy race earlier this year, and 7th at Las Vegas this year. So he's been there. He's been close. 7-1. I was expecting, honestly, to be betting a 5-1 this week. I was waiting for opening, and I said, yeah, I'm betting Truex at 5-1, ain't I? And we got him 7-1. Fucking let's go, baby.
It's good odds for Truex for sure. And a pretty good Caesars was shouting out a parlay on both him and Ryan Truex to sweep the weekend again. Very well could happen. I don't have those odds written down, of course, but I put a little coin on it. And with Truex too, it's not just, he's in a Joe Gibbs car. The Joe Gibbs cars are great. Truex wins. His first career win in what was nearly the lifeless husk of Dale Earnhardt Incorporated in 2007 came at Dover, and he won one of those races. Baby. Yeah, won one of those races with Furniture Row Racing in the 78, and even ran well in the 56 for Michael Waltrip Racing. That was never really a good car and kind of a darker time in his career too. It's not just the Gibbs cars are great and he's great. It's Truex is fucking good at Dover.
I feel like whenever he was with Michael Waltrip Racing, though, he was in all the ads. I don't know why.
Yeah, those Napa ads were great. The old Napa know-how song still gets stuck in my head sometimes.
Yeah, but on a serious note, man, like this is Truex's time to show up. You can also get him for a top 5 if you want to hedge yourself a little bit at BetRivers plus 120. And why specifically in betting the outright at BetRivers, Elliot? Because they do have that top 5 protection. So if you bet an outright and it gets a top 5 and you opt in for the feature there, they'll give it back to you, your bet, up to $25 if it doesn't hit, if he finishes in the top 5.
Wow, no way.
Low insurance.
I'm not familiar with this. Yeah, that's pretty great.
I've been doing it all season, so sorry.
I just got onto BetRivers a couple of weeks ago. So
So
that's
like
pretty great.
Yeah, so like with Truex, like I feel like if he doesn't win, he's gonna finish in the top 5. I can still get my free bet back, and then I can also potentially cash a top 5 ticket. So that's kind of my approach here. I feel pretty safe about it. Let's go ahead though. Let's talk about Chase Elliott a little bit more as well, because listen, I did not come into this week thinking I was going to bet Chase Elliott at all. Not at all. Not one bit. But like this is he was kind of almost like MTJ reincarnated with how good Chase was here. Prior to his 11th place finish last year, which I'm not really counting against him, was his 3rd race back from injury. Prior to that, he had 5 straight top 5s here at Dover and finished in the top 5, 10 of 11 Dover starts prior when his car was still running. Had one race he got in an accident, had one that he blew up an engine. But other than that, like the guy has been seamless. And that includes when he first got in the Cup car, man. Like it was top 3. And we're like, holy fuck.
Yeah, Dover definitely kind of sneakily one of his best tracks. And in those incidents, outside of the incident races, he's never been worse than 12th here.
Yeah.
So definitely one of his better tracks too. And if this was 3 weeks ago, if he hadn't won Texas, I would be like, well, we still haven't seen him win. You never know. But it's sort of a deal where they finally got the monkey off of their back. And maybe now they can go rip out a couple of W's like we're used to seeing from Chase Elliott.
So my question for you would be, I also went for a top 5 at Caesars plus 170. And then I saw at BetRivers, there's a top 10 on Chase Elliott at minus 155. Would you drink that much juice for the top 10, which it feels more guaranteed? Or are you stretching a little more for the top 5 like I am?
Yeah, I definitely like the top 5 more than the top 10. That's tough at 155 for the top 10.
Yeah,
I don't hate it. I'm
plus 170, I think, is a good value too. I was expecting to see closer to plus 140. And if you're on BetMGM, I think he's plus 185. I always have issues with BetMGM, but so I don't really get down over there. A couple of the true comps just to keep in mind for Chase too, and why I'm so confident here. Last year, 8th and 3rd at the Darlingtons, Nashville 4th, 8th at Bristol this year, and then some of these like intermediate running the same package comps that we can look at from 2024, 12th at Las Vegas, 1 Texas, finished 19th at Phoenix, but the pit cycle fucked him up. I was riding the top 10 on him that day, thought he was going to hit it. He was running the top 10 all day, looking strong. The fact that he looks so strong at Texas gives me a lot of faith here in Chase Elliott.
Yeah, and Chase has a win at Nashville too, doesn't he?
Yes. Yep.
So
Yep.
good on the concrete. That's
Yes.
important to me.
Absolutely. Some other names that like I'm not on right now just because I don't like the odds, and I think maybe they could get a little better. That I'm just kind of like names to watch for the weekend. Byron, this guy always has a thing to just kick me in the ass, and I feel like I wouldn't be surprised we show up at the racetrack this weekend, Elliot. We're fucking, having a good time, and then all of a sudden William Byron snakes me at the end and it wins this son of a bitch. So William Byron 8.5 to 1. I considered, and he was the dominant car last year, if you remember too, before Truex came out.
Well, and it depends whether you put money on him, because if you put money on him, he's not going to win, right? So that's
yeah. Hamlin too, like should be considered. I think like I didn't hate 7.5 to 1 is what I was finding Hamlin at most places. Elliot, he just hasn't. He has one Dover win. That's like the thing with him. He only has one win here. He looked good at Bristol. Like he kind of called a shot on the podcast earlier this week as well. Like you like the confidence in him. I just if you want to top 5 it for Hamlin, that's fine. If you want to maybe like do some type of parlay, one of the double stackers, maybe that. But I couldn't get on the outright without seeing the speed outright. And same with Ross Chastain. Ross was like the number one guy I came into this week, and the stats just popped off the page. Yeah. He is really good at Dover. Best in the next gen total speed rankings at Dover. Ross, I would not be surprised if Ross Chastain wins this. Ross is just kind of a dog shit qualifier usually. So like for him to open up at like 8.5 to 1, I can't bet Ross with his volatility anything less than 10, I think. So if he comes out Saturday and shows the speed, I think he's someone I'm getting down on ahead of the race on Sunday, Elliot.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Ross is probably the best of the rest, but like I said, other than the big four of Hendrick and Gibbs, I'm not touching anyone in the outright market.
I got one little sprinkle I can share with you.
Oh boy, you're the sprinkle on a crazy one this week, huh?
Charles in the chat saying I got Elliot top 5 +2. Where'd you get that, Charles? Let me know.
I like that number a lot.
That'd be like a bet 365 or something, man.
Maybe, but you never know. The odds move a lot.
Yeah,
you get them early in the week.
I was a little slow. I was a little slow in the draw this week. I will say that I was making sure the NFL draft betting card was ready to go and stuff. So I was a little slow on the draw this week. Let's talk placement props, and I can kind of bring up the other driver of a sprinkle on Bovada. Yep. All right. Well, we're gonna be talking about Bovada later. So that's definitely nuked on Bovada now. I did look at that earlier though. Okay. Placement props. One of my favorite of the week. Give me fucking Josh Berry. Give me Josh Berry top 10 +210 at FanDuel. And we don't get to bet on FanDuel much. So +210 at FanDuel. I like that number. Keep in mind, Josh Berry won this track in Xfinity in 2022. Also has 2 runner-ups in the Xfinity series. One of those being one of his very early races in an Xfinity car. Really anything at the NASCAR level. And then also filled in for Bowman here last year in your number 48 car, Elliot. 11th in the total speed ranking, ran 84% of the laps inside the top 15 and finished 10th, man. So I think coming in here with Rodney Childress, who knows how to freaking rig a hot rod up for Dover. Before last year, the number 4 car had 8 straight top 10s here. I think this is a really, really good spot for Josh Berry. Keep in mind, 12th at Bristol, led 25 laps in that race. Am I crazy?
No, not at all. He's a guy that, the short tracks are always a more enticing place to look at Josh Berry. And again, not pre-planned. I had that same top 10 number on my sheet. Our guy Ozzy in the Prop Kings article this week, I believe, was a Josh Berry top 10. So we got to get on those odds quick if we're not on it, because if there's some more industry love from him, those odds might change a bit. In terms of the top 10 and placement props, like I said,
I will say, I have a nibble 60 to 1 on FanDuel. He's like 50, 45 to 1 other places, 60 to 1 nibble on Josh Berry. I'm talking 0.05 of a unit. So not even 0.1 of a unit, like very low, but like if that cashes, it, makes your whole weekend. So
I don't hate that, throw the equivalent of like an old penny scratcher or something on a guy like that.
Yeah.
Those are some of my favorite bets.
Yeah.
I did that the other week for a host of our top 10 at Texas, and it actually hit.
Yeah.
So which really surprised me. So those can be the fun ones of the weekend. When you have a bad week, those can be the ones that hit.
I know we said JGR Hendrick, no matter what, draft day reference, but yes,
nothing wrong with that.
Berry outside of like Ross, Berry, and then I like Chris. Oh, well, I'll talk about him. I like Chris Buescher too. Those are like, though I think those are 2 of the three of those cars could sneak into the top 10. That's my only thought. Who else do you like here for a placement prop, though, Elliot?
Yeah, I mean, real juicy placement prop odds. Like I said, I had the Barry up there at plus money. Bubba Wallace was at plus 190 on BetRivers. I don't even know that the data's really there. It's just 23-11 kind of being on a hot streak. Bubba Wallace could be, I just like the plus money there. This is my gut feeling. I like plus money.
Little gut call.
Let's go ahead with Bubba Wallace there. I also saw some numbers on Ryan Blaney. I don't even know if I love him. I just wanted to bring him up more for discussion because 8 of the top 10 outright odds were the HMS and JGR cars. You had Chastain as the 9th guy. Blaney was the 10th guy. I don't have his outright in front of me, but
16-1 is what I was seeing earlier today. Yeah,
gotcha. His top 10 is at minus 125, top 5 at plus 250 from what I've seen. I don't know if I'm in, but they were worth discussing because the books are certainly higher on him than I thought they would be.
I think Ryan Blaney is one of the most interesting and hardest people to comp heading to Dover. Number 1 in the total speed rankings at Dover a year ago, finished 3rd in that race. Ryan Blaney's like he could, 16-1 is not a bad number. What was the top 10 number you found?
I saw it at minus 125 on BetRivers.
I don't hate that at all. I don't hate that. Ryan Blaney's probably one of those other cars that, kind of in that top 12 mix that could sneak into the top 10. Yeah, I mean, he was pretty bad here in 2022. We need to keep that in mind. First Dover race in the next gen, though, so I don't think we can take too much from it. But he was bat fast last year here and didn't show up in a ton of the comps that I looked at, but he's probably going to be close to a top 10 car. So I don't mind that at all, Ellie. I think that's actually a really, really good call out by you.
Yeah, the top 10 number certainly doesn't look bad. The top 5 might be a little more of a stretch because I think we could very well be at risk of another 1, 2, 3, 4 deal like we had here in 2021. It'll be a little easier to pass, I think, but was
that 2021? Is that when that
was 21? Yeah, and
okay.
I mean, Larson would have won that race, but Bowman had this better pit stop by that much, and you just couldn't pass. So I think we'll see some more passing. But I mean, not only do I want to take the HMS and JGR guys as the outrights, I think they're 8 of the top 13, 14 cars this weekend. I just think they're that dominant here.
We got Charles in the chat asking Stenhouse top 10 plus 325.
That's tough.
Listen, I think Charles was in the chat last night for the NASCAR betting preview show. And after that, I actually went and did some research on Ricky Stenhouse. Dude, he's been fast here, man. He's 13th in the next gen total speed rankings at at Dover, excuse me. And he finished inside the top 10 2 years ago. He was running inside the top 10 a lot last year as well. Ricky Stenhouse is sneaky. We kind of have the news that Kroger's jumping ship, probably going to JGR. Does that help him? Does that give him a little motivation, or does that hurt him and kind of make things weird in the garage this week, you think?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it'll give this team some, it'll give him more of a jump, knowing that this may be it. If you didn't hear, Tad Geschichter, who's the owner, he's the T in JTG Doherty Racing. There's rumors that he may take a job with Joe Gibbs Racing and bring Kroger along with him. He's the main reason. They're the sponsor of the 47. Also rumors Brad Doherty is looking to get out of the ownership business. I think he was wanting to take a full-time job with Cleveland Cavaliers as a color commentator, be a race fan, but not a race owner. Of course, big basketball guy, Brad Doherty, sort of the mini Michael Jordan in the garage now, kind of got overshadowed there. But JTG Doherty has been one of those teams that's kind of been on the balance. And now with how high the charter values are, this makes a lot of sense. Geschichters go, have Kroger be the sponsor for whoever's in the 19 over Truex. Speculation he will finally be done after this year. And they can get a shit ton of money for that charter to sell it to Trackhouse or somebody and finally get out. And Stenhouse, I think, would find a ride somewhere. This isn't a silly season show. This is a betting show.
I think you should go back to Xfinity.
I mean,
he needs a third title. Give him Triple Crown, baby.
If you look at the grid, though, we give a lot of shit to Ricky Stenhouse. Not as much as we used to, mind you. He's become a little better.
Sure.
He's become a little more Ricky Stenhouse and a little less Ricky Spinhouse in the last few years. I think he's deserving a landing somewhere. But like I said, we're not a silly season show. We'll bring it back on track here.
I will say this, Charles. He's done it twice in the last 5 trips here. And if you want to get in on him, I think it should be probably pre-practice and qualifying. He's qualified inside the top 20 the last 5 races here as well. So I don't hate that bet at all, man. I think that's a really I can't trust Ricky Stenhouse just looking at what he's done at some of these very loose comps we have this year. But if you want to ride that Dover history, go for it, man. Go for it. I'm not going to I think that's a fine number you're getting him at. I also want to shout out Chris Buescher, top 10. This is actually my favorite overall bet of the week. I'm 2 units down on it, plus 110 for a top 10 here. And honestly might be the best value on the board. Finished 9th last year, finished 8th the year before. He pulled it in 2022, that first year in the next gen. But what I love about Chris Buescher most is in those 2 races at Dover here, he was 6 for 6, finishing inside the top 10 throughout all the stages of the race as well. So he's running inside the top the top 10 and had the 5th most laps last year in the top 15. 4th in the Dover Next Gen Total Speed Rankings, 8th in the 2023 Total Speed Rankings. True comps last year, 3rd at Darlington, 10th at Darlington 2, 7th at Bristol this year. Looking at what he's done in this this horsepower package, 2nd at Phoenix this year, 7th at Las Vegas. So Chris Buescher's been around, man. I think he's gonna have a really good a good run here.
Yeah, I didn't realize he was a plus money top 10. I probably should have been on that.
RFK, it's still out there. It's still out there.
RFK has run well at these tracks, and if it's not going to be one of these big 8 that I'm talking about, maybe a little RFK thing. And I think it's a good segue over to matchups. I feel like one of the matchups I saw, of course, we always talk about RFK is going to run near each other. The 17 and the 6 even money against each other, or not even money. They're even odds, minus 110. I'm thinking Buescher's probably who you take there.
You found them both at minus 110.
Yeah.
Where at?
I forget where that was.
Okay. Okay.
I pulled that from the Action Network, which is an aggregator of all the books. I'm assuming they were both on the same book, MGM or something.
Yeah. When I was seeing it a couple different places, I saw Buescher like minus 130 to Brad minus 110. So if you can get him closer to minus 115, I would totally be down with that. The only thing to keep in mind, Brad's been a little faster the last couple weeks. We saw it at Dega. We saw it at Texas the week before. Brad's kind of been running hot. So I'm backing you. I don't know if I'd play it myself, but like if it's still minus 115, I could probably get talked into that, honestly, though.
Yeah, and who knows? Those odds may have changed. I had to look up a lot of my numbers last night. Been in the car driving out here to the IBT official head compound here, so I didn't get quite as much.
Plus 120 on Bovada for top 5 for Buescher. Maybe top 10. I'm thinking you're thinking, Charles, because
I mean, if it's top 10s,
I think you can get on legal books. I think you can get better odds for a top 5. Anything else for you? We've touched on Barry. We've touched on Buescher. I'm high on Ford again, man, a little bit. I like not to win the race, but to finish inside the top 10, and I even think a Buescher or Barry top Ford sprinkle would be interesting. Blaney's probably the guy, right? But maybe one of these guys I think would be my second and third choice for that as well.
Yeah, I certainly don't hate that either. Ford to win does have the longest odds this week at plus, was that 420 or 470? My dumbass didn't write. I'm assuming it's 420, but very well could be 470 because again, Chevy, Toyota, Hendrick, Gibbs. Are you going to get a Ford in victory lane? If you are, may as well bet that. If you're going to go for it.
What other matchups do you like, Elliot?
So a couple matchups I saw, Larson being the overall favorite. If you think that either Hendrick or Gibbs is going to be good, but Larson's not going to be at the front of that train, you can get Chase Elliott at plus 125 over Larson, Martin Truex Jr. plus 112 over Larson. Those are at MGM and BetRivers respectively. And Alex Bowman is at plus 130 over Ross Chastain at MGM. That'll be a close one.
Yeah.
I do kind of like Chastain a little more. But you know what I like more than that is plus money. So plus money on my guy.
So I did hammer down on one matchup this week, 2 full units. I really like it. Boy. I'm going to be honest. I really, really like it. I'm usually a post-practice and qualifying matchup better, folks, but got down here on Tyler Reddick, minus 130 over Joey Logano.
I like that.
Listen, if you can fade Logano here this week, do it. I don't know what's in the water over there, Delaware. I don't know if he's smoking too much of that fucking legal weed out there, recreational. I'm dabbling that this weekend as well. But I don't know what it is for Logano, but this guy just can't get it together out here. 17th in the next gen, or 25th, in the next gen total speed rankings at Dover. Ran just 17% of the laps inside the top 15 last year at Dover. And that's compared to Reddick, who ran 90% of the laps inside the top 15. Reddick 17th in the next gen total speed rankings, finished 7th here. Last year was 7th in the next gen total speed rankings. So 1-0 against him since he's come over to Toyota. Reddick's hot now. Reddick's bounced back a little bit. He's hot. going to a track that he had success at last year versus Joey Logano, who's not hot right now at all, really, and going to a track he struggled at. So is there any devil advocate that you can play on this?
No. I think that's a good bet. I don't really have any faith on Logano in that one.
If you can find more Logano bets, let us know in the chat what you got. Let us know over the weekend in some comments what you have, or find us on Twitter. But like, I want to fade Logano more and more as the week. Like, after when I first saw this, I said, I kind of like Tyler Reddick this week. Let me dive into what Logano's done here. And I said, that's bad, man. So like, if you can find more matchups against him, I would. I can't right now. It's only this one. That's an ESPN bet too, -130. So shout out ESPN bet throwing out some lines now.
Maybe that's why you don't find it anywhere, because it's such an obvious bet to fade Joey Logano this week. If I could bet on the 22 to finish 22nd, that might be a good bet.
Take a little over on him for sure. So that's all I have for matchups and groups. Anything more you have for this before we jump into some other series?
I'm good with a couple specials in some other series too.
Let's talk specials here. What do you have, Elliot?
So, of course, I always have a good mix of specials here. The ones I'll shout out, though, and like I said, Dover, it's relatively chalky track, a lot of juice to drink. Take some of this random shit they throw out there. The winner number over 21.5 was a +240 that I saw on Caesars. Gives you, we just talked down Logano, but it does give you Logano, gives you Bubba Wallace, Byron, Reddick, Bowman, Ty Gibbs, Daniel Suarez, if you think he might win. Under 11.5 is also a +120. Gives you Chastain, Larson, Keselowski, Kyle Busch. If you like Kyle Busch, I don't think anybody likes Kyle Busch this week. Also gives you Chase and Denny. And under 7.5 drivers to lead a lap at +110. Like I said, it's not as hard to pass as it used to be, but it could be one of those things where you have one of these big groups one of these groups of Hendrick and JGR, whether it's one of them takes over or an amalgamation of both. They lead all the laps. You get some plus money there. And I do have those numbers for the split Xfinity Cup. Chandler Smith winning Xfinity and Kyle Larson winning Cup, which is generally the favorites. You can get that for +2,800 over on Caesars, and that parlay on the Truex brothers sweeping the weekend again, +4,450.
Ooh.
I've already laid coin on that.
Okay, all right. That might be a tiny sprinkle for me. That's a big number.
And that one was, I don't know what the rules are on like those special offerings versus like the parlays. That one was offered as a 2-leg parlay, not one of the special bets that are grouped together.
Okay. So couple things I want that you pointed out there. I looked at the over-under number and I stared at the under for a long time because I like under 16.5. I think that's a good bet because you have Blaney, you have Hamlin, you have Larson, you have Ross, you have Chase Elliott, you have Josh Berry. Like, some of my favorite guys are in that. The only people I'm scared of over that number would be maybe Buescher gets hot, maybe William Byron, and Martin Truex. That's it. Those are the only, and Martin Truex is the only thing that's really stopping me from placing that bet, but it's good coverage, if you want to hedge against Truex a little bit. So,
same sort of thing as me picking out the matchups against Larson.
Yes.
You can go against the favorite, still pick a guy who's really likely to win and make some more money off of it.
Yeah. I don't mind that at all. We are going to shift over in a little bit to DFS, but I do want to talk about some of these other series from a betting standpoint first. Elliot, let's talk about the Xfinity series. Really interesting here to see Justin Allgaier open up at the top of the board in the Xfinity series at like 3-1, 3.5 to 1 in a lot of places. Yeah. I mean, this guy is so unlucky this year. He's fast at Phoenix, fast at Texas, but doesn't have a huge track record at Dover to warrant that number. I thought that opened up a lot of value across the board, Elliot.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's some really good outright numbers here. If you want to go with one of his teammates, Sam Mayer, to win, that was boosted to +1,100. I also have Mayer over the 21 of Austin Hill at +105. And you were talking about him before the show. AJ Allmendinger in Xfinity, that's boosted all the way up to +1,700 on Caesars.
Bingo. That's the number I am going to be invested in AJ Allmendinger. Also, I'm hammering top 5 AJ Allmendinger 2-1. Yeah. Listen, it's been a tough year for Dinger, dude. Like, Dinger has struggled, guys. Like, he has struggled compared to what he's usually done here in the Xfinity series. However, I think what we need to keep in mind is AJ Allmendinger has been very, very good at Dover. He was even had a good run last year in the Cup, finished 18th in that race. But when I watched it back, he was up inside the top 12 multiple times in the Cup Series, finished inside the top 5 at Dover One of the last 2 years had a 6th place finish in there as well. And then when you're kind of looking at some of these comps, he was inside the top 5 at Las Vegas. Bristol had a good run there. I think he was like right outside the top 5. So AJ Allmendinger 17-1. That can talk to me a little bit, and plus 200 for a top 5 as well. Like, I really like Dinger, man. I think Dinger's a good call out there, Elliot.
Yeah, plus 425 for a top 3 also on Allmendinger.
Oh,
so that's not bad. I do like the 16. If you do like your Xfinity long shots, Jesse Love to go back to back at plus 2,000. Cole Custer at plus 550. Not our favorite number, but I feel like you can't ignore it. And then if you have faith in that special entry 88 for Junior Motorsports, Carson Kvapil plus 3,500. Again, that's a long shot. I don't think he's quite good enough to win at the Xfinity level yet, but he is exciting to watch. It'll be exciting to watch in the ARCA race as well.
Yeah, like a 4.5-1 though, top 5 for Carson Kvapil. That's something on my card right now. Just a smaller sprinkle on that. But keep in mind, every time we see this number 88 car out there, it is just flying around, dude. It is flying around. It's bat fast. When they get the sponsorship, like it's a good car. It's a good car. So I think it's gonna be fast this weekend. Carson Kvapil had a top 5 in his first race. That was Martinsville, which is like, I think closer to what he's racing. Out there in cars. But I think in general, like, this is still a good spot for Carson Kvapil. So and keep in mind, man, like JGR has been, or Junior Motorsports, JRM, excuse me, has been really, really good here the last couple years. Like, Josh Berry was a big part of that, of course. But you look back at watching these last couple races here in the Xfinity series, like I did this week, JRM was at the front a lot of the races. So Carson Kvapil is my favorite JRM this week, I think, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, with the 7's luck, and if you do think the 7's going to have bad luck, you can get plus money, plus 105 on a matchup for Chandler Smith, the other favorite overall guy, which is really good. The 7 car probably will run up front, but I do agree with you. It's just he's been snake bitten, and sort of the same as the 9. He was kind of snake bitten for a couple of years before he got a win. Are you going to put a lot of faith in the 7, especially at these numbers until he gets that win? No.
Also, like, I do want to show a little bit of love to that Toyota group too. JRM or JGR, sorry, keep screwing up. JGR has won like all these traditional ovals this year that have not been super speedways or has not been a road course. It's been JGR for the taking. Chandler Smith last year, he finished 13th. He was in colleague equipment. However, he was in the top 10 for both of the stages. We've seen what this guy can do. Had some bad luck the last couple weeks, but I think at plus 375, you should be taking a shot at Chandler Smith. And also, like, Ryan Truex, all the advanced metrics, green flag speed, segment speed, Ryan Truex was top of the board last year. Like, it wasn't a fluke. He dominated this race, won both stages. So if you do want to get invested in Ryan Truex 6-1, I don't mind it. What I think I'm going to do, I might take a little sprinkle on that, and then plus 180 Toyota right now. So like, then you're hitting if it is Chandler, or if it is Ryan Truex, or if somehow Sheldon Creed or Corey Heim, managed, or Taylor Gray end up wheeling their way to victory. So I don't mind the shot on Toyota, but I like Chandler a lot this week as well. He'll be on the card.
Yeah, definitely worth watching. I don't really have any more bets on my card. You got anything?
No, I think for Xfinity, that's pretty much it. Like, I'm gearing up. I'm throwing a little coin on AJ. I'm throwing some coin on those JRM and JGR guys. But yeah, I think that pretty much did it there. Should we talk a little ARCA before we jump over the DFS tiers?
Yeah, I mean, the ARCA bets, only on Bovada, was it?
Yeah.
And they only have the outrights. I think William Sawalich in the Joe Gibbs car going to be good. Venturini Motorsports also quite good there. Some of those numbers, I don't have them in front of me, but it'll be interesting to watch.
Yeah, about plus 250 is what you're getting. William Sawalich and ARCA, if you are over there on Bovada. And I want to bring up his name as you kind of touched on him. Phil from the Full Tank with Phil podcast. He set a reminder in his phone this offseason because he listened to a podcast where Sawalich said, like, someone asked him, hey, what track are you excited for in ARCA? And he said, Dover. It's one of my favorite tracks. I screwed up there last year. And listen, man, I trust Phil. Like, I trust Phil on that one. And like, he's in some good equipment. We have these other gyms too that I don't think we've ever heard of really, but apparently they're pretty good. They're in some good equipment.
Yeah, I already forget his name.
Gio
Ruggiero or something. In the number 20 car for Venturini.
Well, that was what Jesse Love was in last year and dominated the series, right? So
yeah, won the championship there, dominated in that Venturini car. They're always good in ARCA, so definitely worth watching those. And that's probably all we're looking at for the outrights. It's going to be real tough.
Yes, I think Travis Quaffle, he'll be in that race as well.
Carson
Quaffle, sorry.
He's going to race.
Yeah, if Travis was out there, man, he'd be fucking
Hey, why not father-son race?
Yeah.
Carson Quaffle also going to be out there. I don't remember the
Connor
team off the
Zilic
top of my
too.
head. Yeah, Connor Zilic is going to be teammates with Quappel. That's kind of how we deduced that those cars can't be that shitty because they have two good drivers.
Yeah.
That's a tough thing with ARCA is there's so much more of a gap between 6 or 7 really good cars, 3 or 4 decent cars, and then you just see some. I don't watch ARCA every week, but you just see some top of the top garbage at the back of those fields. It's tough for them. You're certainly not going to bet them outright.
Yeah. I think I will be taking my shot on Sawalich, and I will probably take a little nibble on Gio as well. And if Quappel or oh geez, the other
it's Connor Zilic.
Zilic, yeah. If either one of them beat us, they beat us. But yeah, I think I'm gonna hammer down Sawalich. I think his motivation, like talking about Dover that far out, gives me a little bit of hope there. So shout out to Phil for that call. What do you say, Elliot? Should we flip on over and get into a little bit of tire tiers?
Yeah, let's go ahead. I know we're running up close to time here. We'll get these tiers out and we'll get you rolling to draft coverage if you're really eager for that. Or hell, you can double screen it if you're watching.
Yeah.
We can't double screen it.
Yeah.
We'll go ahead and roll through it and make sure we give you some good tiers here before we wrap up. All right, so the first argument here is how are we going to sort out the Hendrick cars and the JGR cars? I think 6 of them are Tier A, and then we'll put probably Gibbs and Bowman at the start of Tier B. Do you have any argument with that? Maybe bump Ross up to Tier A also?
Yeah. I think it's going to come down to the pricing here, which I'm pulling up.
Yeah, we got so Larson is at 11.5. Then you have Truex at 11.3, Byron's at 11,000, Hamlin at 10.8, Bell 10.5, Ross Chastain 10.2. Chase Elliott 9,900, Ryan Blaney 9,600, and then you have Bowman 9,300. Ty Gibbs all the way down at 8,500. I kind of don't hate that. That's almost worthy of bumping him up to the A $3,000 discount on a guy like Larson. Joey Logano 8,800. I think that might be worthy of throwing him in the D's right now at that price.
Yeah, honestly, that's expensive for Joey Logano.
I'm at least putting him in the C's for now.
Here, what I'll say: Byron belongs in Tier A. Yeah. Byron he had 100. He had 120 some points here last year.
Yeah, probably Larson, Truex, Byron as our top 3, I would imagine.
I honestly, I would say I'd say Larson behind Byron though. I would say Larson
behind Byron.
It's going to be chalky this week. It's going to be chalky, and I don't know if I trust Larson. Like I said, he's wrecked out the last 2 races here.
That's fair.
Has had some bad luck. Like I'd rather play Byron this week, I think.
Understandable. Yeah. So then probably Chase and Hamlin, I think. Chase Hamlin and maybe Chase Chastain and then Hamlin.
Yep.
I know this isn't going to be a normal thing running through it quickly. Part of it is just because it's so easy to get these top tier guys. We'll get into more discussion on some of these lower guys. And like you talked about last week and talking about moving the prop bets up a little bit makes it easier to kind of get through the tiers a little faster because you're not introducing these guys.
Yeah.
You've already talked about these guys and now it's just putting them in terms of a ranking.
Yes. Also in that A tier, we threw Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin, Ross Chastain has to be there. I'll have a lot of Chastain, I think, in my lineup just for the upside. If you want to talk about someone who could potentially dominate this race, it probably is Ross.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think we have a pretty.
Yeah, is there any argument here for this Tier A?
Get fucking Chris Bell out of there.
Chris Bell.
What do you guys think in the comments? Let us know in the comments if Chris Bell should be in the A tier. But I don't fucking trust this guy.
Yeah, that's fair. So
Chris Bell has just been, he hasn't been good lately, man. I don't know.
It's been tougher.
He has more volatility, but he has been top 5 here. Last couple times we've been here. I got some comments. Let me pull those up.
Yeah, let's see what people think about the way we have them. Yeah, I mean, I think so. 19, 24, 5, 9, 1, and 11 for the A's. 20, 48, 54 to lead off the B's. We'll throw Logano in the D's by the end of it. But I think right now he's probably worthy of a C. Maybe probably Blaney and Busher worthy of a B as well.
Yeah, Blaney Busher for sure
Yeah.
should definitely be in there. We got Bob in the chat. What's up, Bob? Good to see you, man.
Good boy,
Hope we
Bob.
see you this weekend. Again, as we have, I know I've said it a couple times here. But as some people are piling in, we are doing some giveaways with some signed die casts this weekend. Just let us know you're subbed in the chat. Just put it in the live chat or put it in the comments if you're watching this afterwards. Just say subbed and we'll enter you there. Yeah, 48, definitely like him better as well.
Yeah.
I think we could get a little Josh Berry love as well. In that B tier, I think he would.
I'd maybe say beginning of the C's, maybe put Reddick in the B's, or are we not quite that high on Reddick?
I don't. Yeah, I'd say end of the B's for sure.
Yeah, so we'll put, if I can get Berry in front of Logano here on the tier maker. There we go. And then Reddick up in the B's there. Do we put Brad alongside? We put him ahead of the 45, where the 4 is.
Could Brad start the C's at 7,700?
Yeah.
I don't mind Brad starting. No, put him behind Barry. Put him behind Barry. Yeah. Put him behind.
Barry's probably at a good price this week too. He's 7,300.
Yeah.
So that's I do kind of like that for Barry, and he's got the pedigree for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Let's maybe. Is there anyone else? Help us out, guys. Who else do you think belongs here? We're kind of doing this a little bit. I'm not in front of all my notes here, but I'm trying to think who else we haven't even mentioned at the top. Like we've kind of got the chalk so far.
Yeah.
I think some other values down the board, like if we're honestly talking values already, like we touched on him in Xfinity, AJ Allmendinger, 5,900.
Yeah, I don't hate that. Maybe should we put Stenhouse C's or D's? I kind of like those numbers you were talking about, and he's all the way down at 6,500.
He'll be chalky because I think there's a lot of fucking smart people out there like Charles who are going to be on him. So I think it'll be a little bit chalky. So you can go ahead and put Stenhouse. End of the C's is fine. I think the end of the C's. Justin Haley, I think, should be in the D's. Haley had a top 15 run last year when we were at this track, if you remember, Elliot. Mm-hmm. Again, I think that's more colleague equipment. Like I'm giving colleague a little bit of a boost this week. And speaking of colleague, belonging in the D's, Daniel fucking Hemrick. Daniel, guys, I've been saying it for literally a month straight now. Every write-up for the DFS article, every week, Daniel Hemrick's in it. Last week, 50 fucking points for DFS lineups. Wow. He's been optimal 2 weeks in a row. The guy starts in the rear and he moves up. He usually moves up. Wish I would have cashed a top 10 ticket on him. Should have been on him for a top 10. Apparently, Daniel Hemrick's starting to show up a little bit in the Cup Series. And like I said, colleague gets a boost here for me. So definitely like those guys.
Yeah, and this is one where normally the guys who we like in DFS, we also like in the bets. This is a case where I don't think it's worth betting Daniel Hemrick for really anything.
Sure.
In terms of the bets. But in DFS, you play that a lot differently. Getting those sort of points, the differential points, things like that, make Hemrick look a lot better in DFS than they do in the outright or top 5, top 10 markets where he's just got zero value.
Yeah. I think we could also put Noah Gragson and Chase Briscoe here. 6,900 for Gragson, Chase Briscoe 7,100. I like them for different reasons. I like Gragson had a great run at Las Vegas and been good at these intermediates this year, man. He's kind of shown a little something. The number 10 car was kind of dog shit at Dover last year. It gives me a little bit of pause on him. Mm-hmm. Chase Briscoe just kind of been wheeling it, man. He didn't cash the top 10 ticket we were on. I was pretty high on him last week. Started really drinking the Briscoe juice again. You know, I have some love for him. Yeah. But still, Chase Briscoe, top 12 performance from him. He has a string of 3 straight top 12s. Not the worst Dover driver. So I do like Briscoe a little bit this week as well.
Yeah, those SHR guys, certainly not bad value. Still some decent guys up here. Maybe Bubba Wallace, maybe an argument for the C's or D's. Kyle Busch, maybe an F at that price. Suarez, also a guy that probably is worthy of being up on the board.
Kyle Busch, I will give just the credit to Kyle Busch having the history here at Dover. And I think we can't forget that, guys, right?
That sure didn't pay off for me at Bristol. I was super high on Kyle Busch. Ends up driving it backwards into the pits and causing 2 cautions in a race where driver skill was paramount. Kyle Busch ran like shit.
He's starting to pick it up, though. He's starting to pick it up, at least from a DFS perspective. It'll kind of come down to qualifying for me, I think, if I'm playing Kyle Busch. But 61 points 2 weeks ago at Texas, like that got the job done. -4 last week at Dega. So he's a grenade, and he could explode and win you a lineup or win you a week with an optimal driver there. But he could blow it up too. Yeah. So give him a C. Give him a C.
Yeah, I was about to say throw him in the end of the C's. Bubba Wallace, any argument for C's or beginning of the D's? Probably. He's a tough one. Probably in the mid D's.
Yeah, throw him some of the D's wherever you want to go
I'll
there.
put him right behind Hemrick here. I'll move Hemrick above Haley, then Wallace and the SHR guys. Suarez probably a D2, just on equipment.
Yep.
Maybe.
Yep. Equipment alone should be there.
Mid to high D.
Corey Heim. Where's Corey Heim for you? We haven't talked about Corey Heim. Corey Heim's gonna be. We did mention he will be taking over for Eric Jones in that 43 car. Yeah. Corey Heim's got a shit ton of talent. We've seen it both in Xfinity and in truck. Running for Sam Hunt there in Xfinity, and he's looked good, man. But it's just been a bad season for this legacy team in general. Yeah, a guy making his Cup debut, how different the next gen is. I don't know if I want to touch Corey Heim. I got to see how he goes. Same reason I'm not touching Jimmy Johnson. I don't even want him on this board. I don't care what his price is. It doesn't matter. Starting 30th and finishing 26 is not going to get you any points. I've been saying it for a while. Doesn't know how to drive this car. Yeah, drives it off the wrong tire. That really shows how different it is that a guy who was the 7-time champion, obviously age is going to affect it. But it's like you got Dale Jr. still coming close to winning Xfinity races, running top 5. Jimmy is looking like an amateur in the Cup Series. He's just, until he figures it out, and who knows if he's even going to run enough races in the rest of his career in Cup to figure it out. Figured out, right? He's not worth it at all. Yep. Also, just a sign of respect for our guys, Front Row Motorsports. Yeah. Shout out Todd Gilliland. Listen, if there's ever a guy in the Cup Series I want to grab a beer with, it's fucking Todd Gilliland. No one shows this fucking man respect. And, I just thought, okay, he's getting sponsors. He's daddy's boy. He's coming. No, dude, Todd Gilliland's a little bit of a wheel man. Mm-hmm. I really like what he's been doing this year. Have the runs at Dover been great? No. He's probably going to start towards the back. His starts here 34th and 35th. However, he's moved up. He's finished 25th and 28th, so could get you some differential points there. Put him on the board. Put Michael McDowell on the board. Yeah. Just some respect. But, yeah, we're getting down there, my friend. Yeah, the only guys I can think of that maybe warrant a spot, maybe Cindric, maybe Austin Dillon, maybe JHN, maybe Hocevar. Yep, I would throw them almost in that exact order, honestly. God, Austin Cindric was good at Vegas earlier this year, and then he ended up having a pit road penalty. He had to come back. Yeah. But he won this race a couple years ago in Xfinity, if you remember, dominated that race. So good point. He has some Xfinity pedigree here. Has had some really crashed out in 2022's rookie year, finished 26th last year, but could be worse than Cindric. Like I don't mind that call out, especially for the price now, $5,700. Like he's down there. It's not crazy. A Penske car is $5,700 in DFS right now. It's insane how bad Cindric has been just in terms of versus. Logano hasn't been great. Blaney's been really good. Cindric just on another planet. And not a better one. Yeah. Yeah. Bob in the chat saying, "Hey guys, I had love in Xfinity last week for 2 units." I knew you would, Bob. I knew you would. Congratulations. Yeah. Biggest love fan. I thought about Bob over the weekend because he said in the show when I was doing the show live, he said, "Hey, like, I'm on Jesse Love," and he brought it back to my attention, and he was 12-1. I was like, oh shit, like I should be. No, I fucking wasted my units on fucking Red Sloth. God damn it. Oh yeah, that wasn't a bad pick though. He just got caught up in a wreck, right? Yeah. No. His ignition after the wreck, his ignition went out. Oh, so okay. Yeah, he just couldn't get fired back. So weird circumstances, okay. But yeah, I had Red Sloth, so that's why I missed out on Jesse Love. Bob, fuck me, right? Well, you put out a tweet a couple weeks ago. You're okay with missing out on some guys' first wins. I guess you were okay with missing out on. I was okay with missing out on Brad. Thankfully, I wasn't heartbroken last week, even though I really liked him. Yeah. Charles saying I'm also a huge fan of Love as well. Bro, you gotta love the kid too, and like the interview was great, but like I'm glad. Hey, I will say this though, Elliot. I did cash the season win total on Jesse Love last week. Hey, there you go. That's right. First season win total cash of the year. Nice. So excited about that. Kaz Grohl, throw him in the Fs. He's been serviceable, man. Fair. Kaz is very serviceable. I'll just put Heim in the F. Sure. And if do we have JHN on the board? JHN's on the board in the Fs here. I'll bump the front rows up to D probably, and then the rest of these guys in the Fs. Priest. What has Priest done here? I like SHR this week, but I might just be home in SHR because I'm high on Barry too. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we've thrown almost everyone up. We may as well throw Priest in the Fs just put him. Don't put him at the end of the F. Show a little respect to Ryan Priest, though.
All right, so let's
put him above Kaz
yeah,
at least.
Here we go.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
That's fair. And then I don't see any reason to rank LaJoy or Zane Smith.
Yeah.
Harrison Burton's always the bastard child of this, and like I said, I don't want to touch Jimmy with what they say in the Grinch. I don't want to touch Jimmy with a 39.5-foot pole. It's not happening.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there, Elliot. Well, guys, I think that's gonna about do it for the program. There are DFS tiers. We'll put out an article on the website tomorrow as well. And then just kind of catch you up on some show stuff, what's going to be going on this weekend. We'll have content hopefully coming out, some videos Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. Have the ring notification going on because we'll do some different videos throughout. Let you guys know, like, hey, this guy was fast in practice. Maybe we can talk to them, see what they're thinking, and then also maybe give some of our own thoughts from a betting perspective as well. So we'll have some different things over the weekend, some human interest stories there from the track.
I was going to say, keep an eye out for written content too. We'll push that out at betweenmedia.com.
Yeah.
Starting with that between bets and the DFS tomorrow morning before we head to the track. And then we'll get probably a feature story or two, if not 5 or 6, depending on how things are when we get to the track,
Yeah. So. Yeah. We got Hoove out there. One of my co-hosts on the IBT Fantasy Football podcast. He's out there at the draft right now. So we're going to have some NFL draft content coming over the weekend as well. We are fucking busy, but we're excited about it. And we want to help you guys get invested in this giveaway as well. Let us know in the channel right now. Just say subbed, and that's all you got to do. We will enter your name. I'll grab it right here. I know we got Bob and Charles who are definitely subbed. I think I already have them in it. But let us know who else is subbed to the channel, and we'll enter you in the giveaways. And Elliot, they got a damn good shot right now, man. They're like almost minus money right now.
Yeah, for sure. But guys, it's going to be an exciting weekend. Thanks for rolling down the back road with us tonight.
Let's do it.
And keep on rolling with us all weekend. We're heading to the track tomorrow morning. Couldn't be more excited to bring you content all weekend from the Monster Mile. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you the next 3 days here on In Between Media and the Backroad.